Blessed morning. Happy Wednesday. You are now tuned in to Apply Where Necessary. I am your host, Quay, and this is episode 29. Drum roll. Yes. Episode 29 is, in a nutshell, we're talking about independence versus interdependence. I'm going to talk about that later. But first, today's affirmation that I put up on my IG because we're still in the moment. It is, I glow. I am crafted differently. Therefore, comparison thoughts cease as I continue to improve based on standards I set for myself. So you guys, I am practicing, this affirmation is exactly what it says it is. I glow. A lot of us struggle with comparison thoughts. We compare ourselves to others. We compare ourselves to our past selves. We compare ourselves to the future that we haven't even reached yet. And it's good to have that vision or that goal to strive for. However, it's still a comparison. It's like when you're comparing yourself to someone, something else, or even the future, you are limiting yourself from being present and applying as much effort as you can. And like I always say, everyone, I'm talking to myself too. Today, I had to recite affirmations all throughout the morning. Like after my workout, I went to Whole Foods and then I got back home and I think on the car back from Whole Foods, I had to just recite because I was having comparable thoughts. Kind of doubt, like I'm human. We go through it. So I had to remind myself I glow, and we got to this affirmation. You guys know I just flipped the page when I'm pulling an affirmation from the book, and this is what we landed on. Now, there's two cameras I'm looking at. If you're watching visually, I'm looking at the IGTV camera, and I'm looking at the YouTube camera. So, hey, everyone. And in audio, you don't have to worry about who I'm looking at. I think that's an important affirmation. Take that with you. Recite it to yourself. I glow. I glow. I glow. I am crafted differently. Therefore, comparison thoughts cease as I continue to improve based on the standards I set for myself. Set your own standards. Set your own bar. It's your life. And the more we live in our lives and live in our own skin and do the things that, make us comfortable and happy, the better off we're going to be honest. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just, every day I'm like, okay, Quay, how can you become more Quay? How can you get more on Quay's back? How can you get Quay to the levels Quay wants to go? Every day, because I know I'm human and it's easy, especially in this social media era, to compare ourselves to others and diminish our glow, dim our light. Looking a little dull over there, sis, bruh. So, I don't want none of that. And I hope you don't either. Life update before we get into the topic. I said I went to Whole Foods. I lost a pound and 8 ounces in the last week and a half since I went back to LA. And I'm aware, I know how, because I don't know, sometimes when I travel, I'm staying over someone else's house or just in general, I don't eat that much as I do in the comfort of my own home. So I probably had 2 meals a day. I did a lot of fasting, and some of it was intentional. Some of it was just because it's my mind is in other places. So I just end up not eating as much. And I know, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing because, like I said, I'm intentional and I know I didn't eat. So this is a fast. Use this moment to gain clarity to, all that. But I did have a lot of juices. I went to Whole Foods. My sister doesn't live far from a Whole Foods. So I got the Suja juices that Whole Food offers. I got a lot of those. So before the gym, I would drink one. And then I think I had enough for after the gym. And I had a lot of cauliflower. Oh my gosh. California does fried cauliflower better than the places I've had over here in Atlanta. Y'all, in my vlog, you'll see on the thumbnail. I don't even know if I put that clip in the vlog. That's how crazy it is. But that fried cauliflower, almost like cauliflower chicken, was delicious. And I know it was so bad for me. My trainer the next day, he was like, yeah, that's what you get for eating them cauliflower wings. I'm like, boy, them things was good. So ain't no regrets. And they had this little Cajun fries, little Cajun dust, I like to call it, delicious. No regrets. But I had like cauliflower like 5 times out of the, I was there like 8 days. Yeah, came on a Friday, left on a Saturday. Halloween was great. I was the goddess Oshun. Loved it. Tosh, my best friend, made my costume. So if you're looking for any custom costumes or like bralettes, headpieces, jewelry in general, shop with Girl Strike. Put your custom orders in or get her pre-made items. You won't regret it. I definitely made my costume come together. You can check it on my Instagram at QUAYILLS. That's where you'll find it. I'm kind of thinking about changing my name, y'all. I think I want to change my Instagram name to by Quay, because as I get more in my bag, there's going to be a lot of products by me. So I'm like, okay, my book is by me. My photos are by me. I'm giving y'all me, so it's by me, everything curated. So I have a friend who has their Instagram name by their name, and I'm like, I'm not copying you. It's a free world, but I don't know. I hate that. Like, I hate being considerate. Yeah, it was a great end of October. We're on, what's today? The 10th. 10 days into November. November's going good so far. I got an intern. Shout out to her. I'm really looking to build more of a team right now. Like, my whole focus from November to December is just like a team, like getting in my bag. Like, I used to have teams in college. I had 2 teams of like 8 to 12 people at two different moments in college when I started the High TV. I had writers. Like, I was lit. I was in my bag. And I'm just like, obviously I have more time and energy to dedicate to, having this team, because you're in college. Like, you have little part-time jobs, you have your essays, you're just exploring life, as opposed to now 27-year-old woman who got bills to pay and all those things. Like, I don't know, but I'm really prioritizing a team. I need a team. I need support. I need help. I've got this far by myself for the most part, and with the relationships I have, but I need a team. So this takes me on to my topic, and it didn't even stem from this. But I think the other camera just went off. Oh, the memory. Oops, YouTube gonna get a shorter podcast episode. But hopefully Instagram's still with me. I had an Instagram poll. And I just sitting one day, I was like, would you rather independence or interdependence? And I knew some people would not understand the definition. So I Googled the definitions that I feel like will resonate with people. And I put them up there. And let me just pull it up so I can elaborate what definitions I chose. Now, obviously, independence is not relying, like the freedom from control, not having to rely on anyone or anything. And then interdependence is more so the mutual dependence. In a short, it's mutual dependence. It is, I don't know if the thing has archives on here because I have my phone doing the Instagram. But yeah, mutual dependence. Oh, I'm slow. I wrote it down. So the dependence of 2 or more people or things on each other, mutual dependence, symbiosis, the different skills or specialties coming together to accomplish common goals, the connection to those around you working in harmony. Independence obviously is thinking for oneself, speaking for oneself, freedom from outside control or support, free from influence, and the fact of state of being independent, solo, alone. Now, the majority of people chose independence. And I knew this was what was going to happen, to be honest, because a lot of people see the idea of relying on someone else based off their past experiences and what I will call traumas in life as an issue, as a default, a flaw in one's character. And so they maneuver independently. And I can say this because that's me. Don't like to ask for help. And even if you want to, you don't know how to because you've grown the habit of not asking for help and putting a lot on your shoulders or just doing everything on your own. Now, I think there was like a 65 to 30, 4 percentage. Wait, my math is all. Oh yeah, percentage of independence versus interdependence. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of people misconstrue the definition and the purpose of interdependence for codependency. I know this for a fact because I didn't even know what interdependence was up until this year, top of this year. And I've been exploring it further ever since. And my decision is interdependence. Dun, 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 dun. Interdependence. What the hell? Like, I just told y'all, I need a team. I got this far by myself. There's a lot of obstacles, a lot of wins, a lot of past opportunities, a lot of future opportunities. There's a lot, but it's hard. Especially in my position as a manager, I have 5 clients now. When I first started, I had like 1 and then it went to 7 and then I had to dwindle down and now we're inching back up because the value is there. However, the attention, I can't give everyone attention and myself attention. Like, how am I going to pass being the 15 to 20% like of someone else's income if I can't create my own wealth, my own funds, my own businesses, and only way for me to be able to successfully do all those things personally is to get a team, create a system, let it funnel, create a funnel, repeat, refine where necessary, So I'm on the interdependent side. You have to be bugging if you see those 2 definitions and you choose independence. You're lying. I think a lot of people are lying. If you're in an intimate relationship and you're independent, that's bizarre. And I had a lot of people in relationships voting independent. Obviously, I had a lot of Black people voted independent. And I had a lot of women voting independent. I had a lot of men too. I think it was a fair amount. And then on the interdependent side, I think it was like 2 guys and the rest were girls. And I was just like, okay, y'all. Interdependence over independence any day. Codependency is what starts when you're a child, right? You have to be codependent because you don't know anything. Up until the 18-year-old mark, if you were raised properly, but in general, the 18-year-old mark, you need to become independent. You need to have an independent mindset. You're not going to rely solely on others. But you need to have an interdependent systems. You just have to have an interdependent mindset when it comes to life in general. Because as we get older, from 18, if I was super as independent, I was, but if I was as independent as I perceive myself to be, I would not be right here probably, because I wouldn't have met the people I've met. I wouldn't have had the experiences that I've experienced by myself. There's so many things you cannot do by yourself, and it makes no sense to do a lot of things by yourself. It's insanity. You can't convince me that you're really going to choose to do by yourself. Be by yourself. Do everything for yourself and enjoy it. No one. Not a chance in hell. People make money. I made my own money. But how did you make that money? Maybe you worked a job that was created by this person and you're supervised by this person that helps you do your best so that you can turn in your work or do your duties to the best of your ability and get a check from it. That is not an independent system. That is an interdependent system because everyone is relying on each other to make the end goal, make money, be successful, or have the system flowing. Hands down. Entrepreneurs, freelancers, we are independent as far as freedom from control or authority of others, but we have to rely on customers to buy our products or services for us to feed ourselves. We have to rely on manufacturers to make our products or whatever templates we need for our services or what have you, to make these items for us to be able to resell or sell to our clients, our customers, our consumers. You're not independent And if you are, please raise your hand and tell me who you are and how you're successful if you're independent. Independence is crippling to me. Now, I had a few people. We're going to have a special guest, friend Celestia. She's going to speak towards the end of this episode. We had a conversation last night, a pre-recorded conversation about this, because she chose interdependence, and I've watched her maneuver through, life for the last 7 years, go ups and downs, and, really at a good up right now. And it's dope. It's really, really dope. So we're going to have her later. But I'm going to recite some responses from people who chose independence and interdependence. Now, this particular person, CO, hey girl, she chose, and I think she originally she chose independence at first. And then she changed her mind a few hours after voting. And I'm like, okay. So she wrote, I chose independence first because I have been accustomed to the idea to get it yourself. When I think of interdependence, I first think of how it takes vulnerability to do so. Independence throws that out the window because you're going to go do it yourself, not leaving it in the hands of your neighbor. In an interdependence network, we fit like pieces of the body, creating something bigger than ourselves. Often even at the faster pace too, if said network is on the same page. On the same hand, I feel it takes a great deal of integrity to say I have to show up fully because he needs me to, and because I know by me showing up, we proceed on the path of becoming the thing we envision. Love it. And she's in a new relationship. I feel like it's a few months, but she's in a new relationship. So I was happy to see her go from independence to interdependence, because it's especially in our platonic, especially in our relationships, period. That's what interdependence is. But in those intimate relationships, if you don't need anyone, so why are you in a relationship? Just for sex? Just for company? That's crazy. And those don't last. And if they last, it's someone's lying. Someone's not happy. Just for companionship. Literally, that's what we have our pets for. They don't speak. We feed them. We groom them. We cuddle them. That's it. Repeat. So it's for human relationships, for her to have said that, change it, that was good. I liked how she did that. The next person, a lot of people voted a lot. And I was like, yo, tell me your answer. And some people could not back it up. Let me see. I had 2 more responses. Oh my God, I feel like they disappeared. Okay. One was my college friend, Nicole, and she chose interdependence all the way. Wow, guys, I really have this lined up, and they're not showing up on my Instagram messages. Whoa. Link. Oh, Season. Let's see. I know she responded. Ooh, child, she didn't. I'm bugging. Okay. So this is back to my explanation. From my experience, I was raised by an independent woman, a self-proclaimed independent woman, right? And she I watched my father eventually become codependent. And I was like, okay, so if men could be like this, I don't want that. So I'm going to have to go get it on my own. And my mom enforced that to me, and all my aunts and my grandmother, everybody was technically single women, doing it for themselves. And can I say they're super successful? To be honest, no, but they're living and they're breathing and they're beautiful. So yeah, they're good on that part, less stress from another person, but there's loneliness there. There's stress from having to do everything yourself that you unconsciously sweep under the rug. And don't identify it as stress from lack of support or help. I watch people do this all the time. I've done it myself. I was sitting here last night, I'm really about to dissect this conversation. And how do I really feel about this? Like, how did I get here? Why did I like choose independence all these years? And now why am I changing to interdependence? And it starts from the root. We always go back to the root, like our parents, our grandparents. And so I watched my father become codependent, and he was independent, previously. And I don't know, I can't say if my parents had an interdependence relationship prior to us children, but maybe because my father, he would cook and provide discipline, but everything else, like my mother and assistants paid bills and kept the roof over our heads and clothed us and gave us other experiences. My father gave us a lot of experiences too, but in the grand scheme of it, it wasn't a healthy interdependent relationship. It was imbalanced. Therefore, it's codependency to me. Now, that's it. That's the gray area. The gray area between independence and interdependence is codependency. And I need everyone to understand the difference. I had this conversation the other day and preparing for this, and someone did not know what codependency was. They didn't even know how to identify it. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are missing the third party. But I intentionally didn't use that one because that's that middle area. Well, no, interdependency is the middle area. That's the far extreme. I know no one really wants to be that, but I should have included it because, surprise, surprise, a lot of people may have chose independence because they fear interdependency is codependency, and it's not true. Let's go to Nicole's take. She gave me 2 parts. She said, I think hearing the word independence versus interdependence can be tricky because now more than ever, it's so vital to have your voice heard, to make a change and to be strong and proud. But you can still be all those things with interdependence. For me, being interdependent means that as a strong and fierce individual, I can lean on my partner or community of other badass individuals to be the best version without sacrificing myself or compromising my values. Part 2. I can be myself and depend on many minds that I respect to launch into something, whether it be a decision, an idea, or a vision. And because of the added layer of support, tackling anything can be done as a united force to be reckoned with. Also, I think it's crucial to beware and know that there is a bond, an unbreakable trust of sorts that exists in an interdependent relationship. It's the best feeling in the world. I have a community to fall back on, pick me up whether I'm feeling vulnerable or fierce as fuck. I think being aware that you can still do all of the badass things and not 100% on your own makes interdependent have much more value to me. I didn't even read this prior to the episode because I just wanted to be fresh. And literally, I said and feel the same way she does in a more condensed way. Like I told... I mentioned to someone who chose independence, and I asked them, why did you choose independence? And they said, okay, let me specify. Independence in the aspect of finances, interdependence in assisting each other with mutual issues. I grew up and saw the interdependence thing with the parents didn't work out too well, but that's just my view. So I said, and that's where I knew people were confusing codependency. So I told this person, I grew up thinking and was raised to be and by an independent woman, and that is a way, but my mindset now is a 180. I no longer find it to be true as I look at how crippling holding the independent woman title has been, and I rather enter a healthy interdependent relationship and friendships where we pull each other up, where one can't, thrive in the areas we individually do well within, and furthermore have a balance in efforts and responsibilities entirely. And I took it a step further from just the platonic or the baseline. I want to do things differently than my parents and grandparents. I don't want to follow their blueprint, yo. I don't. Like there's parts that they instilled in me, and I'm going to take that and run with it for the rest of my life, like faith, like fearlessness, keeping your head up. These are the things that my grandmother and mother instilled in me, grandmothers and mother instilled in me, and some things my father instilled in me too, that I want to take. But I want to implement my own perspectives, practices, and values in my relationship. I think independence for anyone is carrying too much on one shoulder, and codependence isn't fair. to one who is being relied on. And the interdependence allows each to know they equally have the other by their side, whether up or down. And a lot of people think just the issues, like, no, it's the ups too. Like when you want to come in and celebrate a promotion or a new win or a new client or a new bag, you want to be able to go celebrate with people. You independently, you're just celebrating by yourself. Interdependently, I can go tell my man or my girl or my best friend or my mom, I just got this. I'm up. And they're like, yes, you up. We up because you are me. I am you. You can't be stuck on the negative sides of things, because then that's when we get negative reflections. It's I don't know. It's simple. It's not rocket science. It's science. It's energetic, And then the person responded, that opened my eyes to a new point of view. I like this. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about. There was someone else that I remember responded while I was reading this person's. Oh, another guy. So I just gave you 2 girls. The last one was a guy. And now here's another guy who actually, I didn't even ask them. They just hit me, and it was like, interdependent is the only way it really works. You need that in a relationship. I'm like, yes. And then he was like, you on the same page? I'm like, interdependence all the way. And I just said, I grew up with that mindset. It's different. And this person just went on to say, like, he learned it from his parents, low key. They've been together for 30 years. So, something's done right. And then we got further into gender roles. Now, I think this is going to be an episode for next week, actually. Let me write it down. Because gender roles it's interesting. I'm going to do some more research on the different styles. But this person asked me about gender roles. And I'm like, I'm more on the transitional side. Like not traditional whatsoever. But I wouldn't say whatsoever, because transitional is a little bit of the traditional in the modern time. Let me take a sip of water. So I said, yeah, transitional. I said, I'm personally naturally domestic. Like I love cleaning. I love cooking. I work from home already. I'm in touch with my feminine side, and there's so much more. And I do want a man who is traditionally a provider, a protector, a gentleman who does the more manual and laborious things around the house. But I also want a man who is in touch with his emotions, who's not just logical, who cooks sometimes if he knows how, who is equally in tune with our children. Okay? Key. Equally in tune with our children, because children are one dad, half mom. And I don't think it's fair that the women have to be the full out caretakers, like all day, like especially babies. All day taking care of this baby, building that bond, and then the dads, they're working, they've been the provider, and they're tired when they come home from work, and so they can only kiss the kid or do whatever. And I don't think it's fair to them also. Like they have to go be the breadwinners too. So that's what I'm like. I honestly don't want to have to work when I have a baby either, and so I know that will require my man, working extra hard. Or for me to, before I have a baby, I have a lot of cushion. I've worked hard before I started my family, that I have savings cushions, and now turn them to investments where I don't have to work hard. I can work smart. So that's actually a goal. But I want my man to be equally in tune with our kids. I don't want our kids to feel like they're just closer to me. No, I want you to be able to talk to your dad about anything. I want you to feel that love from your dad just like you feel it from me. And I think a lot of traditional relationships back in the days in family dynamics, we suffer from that. And I'm going to write it in the book and the trilogy coming in the next couple years. But we suffer from that. We suffer, and I don't want to suffer. I don't want to have my kids have to go repair past traumas, or, really have to figure out, like, damn, what was my trauma back then? Why wasn't he there enough? Like, I had all that I need. But, and you can't control how your kid's going to feel. I'm going to allow my kid to be whoever they, become, without me really trying to mold them, aside from just understanding what good feels like and what bad feels like. And it's not saying this is good or bad, but just understanding how to identify like, pleasant feelings and dis-ease so that they can make their decisions consciously based off of how they feel internally and the results of possible decisions or actions. So that's how I intend to raise my kids. But yeah, we're going to talk about gender roles next week. It's said and done. I'm going to do a poll on that, and we're going to have more people tuning in on that because this week was pretty fun. But you're going to hear shortly my conversation with Francelesia in our dissection of the two. And I let her speak for the most of the part because you guys just heard me speak about my opinion, and I wanted to hear her get her stuff off, and it was a lot of valid points and similar points. But I'm interested if you want to talk about the topic, send me a message, or I guess I need to find like a way to have a poll. Like, should I go on Patreon or something, y'all? Like, I want to have a forum. I want to talk about this stuff deeper. I just want to have these discussions. I know Twitter is definitely an outlet for that. But yeah, I would love to hear if you want to dig into this. You can send me a message or an email, and we can have that conversation. But that's my take on interdependence versus independence and eliminating codependency in general. Now, we are about to hear from Francelesia, and following that feature, this is going to be the end of episode 29, and I can't wait for episode 30 next week. So let's dive into my conversation with Francelesia.
Hey.
Hey, girl.
What's going on?
Girl, just some late night stuff before taking it down.
I already know. I can only imagine.
Yes. How are you feeling?
So far, so good. Had a really successful day.
Yes.
Just had to ship out 2 big ass bags of clothes. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yes, you've been looking busy, but like happy,
Yeah.
Fulfilled.
So right. Oh yes, definitely fulfilled. Oh my God, so much more fulfilled than before. But yes. Yes, things are like really falling into place. I'm like, is this life? Is this like real life?
I love that
what
for
happens
you.
when you cross that threshold of like paying your dues and being the intern. Now I'm like the big dog. Okay, got it. I like this.
I love that. Congratulations on everything, for real.
Thank you.
I love watching. So yes, girl. So I did that poll, and it was basically, would you rather be independent versus interdependent? And you chose, which one did you choose again?
Interdependent.
Yes.
Which I thought was so important.
It's crazy because majority of the people said independent, and I think,
of course,
and I personally, my decision is interdependent. I think the gray area between the two is codependency, and I think a lot of people see interdependent, even though I gave it
as codependency. Yes. And there's a fine line there. Interdependent means I'm whole, you're whole, and we're pouring into each other, and we're helping each other build this connection and helping each other with whatever it is, resources, reassurance whenever we need it, or whatever that is. I feel like it's so funny because you hit it like right on the head, because I was thinking about that when I saw the results of the poll when it was posted on your story, and I was kind of like, of course everyone said independent, because that's an ego-driven response, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I'm independent because independent just seems like, well, I got my house and my crib and my this and my I've got all these things and it's all put together and I did it all on my own and it's like, yeah, great, want a cookie for it, but what but all of the things that you did do, what was the bigger purpose for that? What did it help anybody? Did it change anything? Did it change the trajectory of someone's life? Like, what were the external effects of this, of everything that you did? Like, accomplishments, of course we're going to praise that, but when it comes to being independent, I think being like 100% independent can really make you spiral. It can take you
Yes.
into this place of like you're so into your shell that you can get lost in there.
Yep.
And then now you're thinking all kinds of things. You think the world hates you. You think everyone hates you. You just start kind of like spiraling and going down this whole rabbit hole of like just kind of like making up all of these thoughts about how other people may perceive you or feel about you or you know or receive you or any of that.
Yes, I
But
was
when you're
talking to
yeah,
yeah, sorry to cut you off. I was talking to
no, you're
someone
fine.
and I was like, I asked them why they chose independence and they were like, well, let me specify like independence in regards to, finances and then
Yeah,
interdependence, for mutual issues and such. And I was just like,
right.
okay, yeah, that's kind of like the not the unspoken, but yes. But I was further explaining like, yeah, like independence is crippling. You carry so much on your shoulders and you want a badge for it when it doesn't
Mhm.
even have to be that way. There's a community for a reason. There's the word team for a reason. There's a
Right.
saying you can go, far alone, but you can go further with, with others. And that's kind of where I'm personally at now. I'm like actually accepting interdependence and what it really means because a lot of us didn't see it growing up, you know?
No.
Let's get it be
We saw
real.
codependency. We saw a
Mhm.
lot of examples of people just even some of our parents, some of our
Yes.
grandparents, and we saw them being together, but it was more circumstantial than it was real love and real like, oh, okay, we
Yes.
really do want to be together because we built this whole thing. It was kind of like, no, we built this out of survival. Like
Yep.
we like we had to build families, and then we had to stay because where were we going and who can afford divorce and who can afford to go live on their own and who can
Yeah.
that's codependency. Those
Mhm.
attachments, those karmic cycles, those what do you call like those soul ties, those
Yeah.
negative soul ties. And so with interdependency though, it's like you can have soul ties, but it's a whole different dynamic in a sense of like we're actually just operating on the same wavelength. I
Yep.
don't need your wavelength to make me happy, to make me these things.
Mm.
I actually am just kind of I'm feeding off of what you're giving me and I'm giving you a little bit of what I got. And now we're creating enough energy and we're creating enough movement and whatever that is for other people to join as well.
Yeah,
It's
cohesive playing field, cohesive
yes,
platform.
yes,
Yeah. And
exactly.
and a lot of people, I think some people they forget the benefits intimately on of
Oh my God.
interdependence. I think a lot of people answer just based off, like you said, like I got my own this, like adulting. Yeah, be an adult, but adulting isn't really like obviously codependency is when you're a child, like you start codependent because you're a child, you don't know anything. But when you become adult, that's when you kind of got to decide between the two, and operate within the two. But then furthermore, when if you want healthy relationships and intimate relationships, interdependency.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't realize that. And that's why we, again, have these failed intimate relationships like our parents most
Yeah.
likely had and our grandparents most likely had. So I think a lot of the responses was more from a kind of a selfish standpoint, you know?
Yes.
hmm
Yes.
And then,
Very much so.
unconsciously probably, but very much so a selfish standpoint, like in a misconstrued perspective.
Yes, most definitely. Because even I've been there though, because I
Mhm,
was like the Miss Independent girl. I was
mhm.
that girl who was like, I'm doing all these parties, all this stuff, all these things I'm doing by myself. So I might as well just live my entire life doing everything by myself. Like,
Right.
it's just by myself. And then the one time I threw an event with a team of people that I brought together, I was like, yep, never doing it alone again.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Like this person has all of these strings. And see, that's the thing. And I love that you even put that in your story because it was I especially considering the kind of people that follow you and stuff like that. I was so
Mhm,
interested to see how many people were gonna say what. And especially because I feel like a lot of people that follow you may be more like career
mhm.
oriented kind of people. So I was kind of like, let me see. And when it came out, I was like, oh, okay, of course everyone wants to
Of
be,
course.
their own person, their own everything. But at the end of the day, over the years, I realized too, because I did get backed into a corner, because of course there's those people in the world that you think they're going to help you, but they just steal your stuff and run, or that you think that they, you reach out for collaborations and liaisons and things like that, and they scar you, and sometimes, from that trauma, you back off from people. So that's why I do understand why a lot of people were like, no, independent, because then I
Yeah.
could, shield myself, and I can protect myself, and I can do all of these things. But it's like, then you kind of miss out on the beauty of life, which is collaborating with other human beings to make great stuff, like to make,
Yes.
monumental things, because A, B, and C don't think like X, Y, and Z. And that's the beauty of it, because now what can come out of that? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I feel like we miss out on a lot of that when we're kind of just stuck in our own world and kind of saying like, I think a lot of the independent answers came from just more so like, I've been jaded before by
Yeah.
people, so I'm just gonna be over here just
Yeah.
doing me and doing my own thing.
Yes.
When people don't realize that interdependency is like, it's such a beautiful thing, because it allows everybody to be present in
Yes.
whatever moments, right? And so,
Mhm.
it like you're it's not, it's energies, but then you're also taking knowledge from other folks. Then you're learning whatever skills.
Yes.
And even if you're not learning those skills, now you have somebody to strengthen whatever you got going on, because here goes somebody who has the strengths that you don't.
Mhm.
So they can come in and make whatever you have going on magnanimous. But they
Yeah.
can't do that if you don't, oh, if you're not open to receiving, if you're not receptive to people coming in and giving, because there are people out there that will give. They will give, and they
Yes.
will support you, and they will push you up, and they'll do all these things. But if you're stuck in independent mode, I feel like it really cuts that out for you. It kind of like blocks the blessings in a sense, because there's too
Truly.
many walls. Who has the patience to break down all these walls, especially people who really celebrate their collaborative spirit, and want to push that out there. So like I was there before. I was that Miss Independent girl. It felt like this is what I got to do. And then, down the line, when I started opening up and saying, you know what, if somebody wants to, you know, take my bag up the stairs, I'm just gonna say yes,
Right.
because it gets
Small
that
things.
you know
Yes.
what I mean? It gets that serious to the point where you're like, I'll
Yes.
open my own doors.
Mhm. Oh
I'll
my God. Let's
carry
go on.
I'll carry these 20 bags of groceries upstairs by myself. Da, 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 da. Like, I was really stuck in my head for some time. I was,
Same,
oh my God.
same.
But then I grew cold, and I
Yeah.
grew distant, and I grew overprotective, and then I got paranoid. And
Yeah.
then it was
Yeah.
like it was a domino effect of all of these like terrible. At first, it was pretty cool, because, of course, I had more control over a lot of the things that
Yeah.
were going on in my life.
Control.
And I became addicted to that like, oh, no one can tell me anything, and no one can make this not happen, and no one can and I got addicted to that. And it wasn't helpful at all. So,
Mhm.
I started small. I let people care. Oh, you're offering to carry my bag? Sure. Instead of being like, oh, no, thank you, I got it. Like,
Yep.
no, even if I have it, you can do it, because
Yeah. You
just,
asked. Why not?
you
Like,
asked, you saw that you wanted to support. And I started letting people
yes.
support in those little ways. Like, oh, okay, I like this support. I like the way this feels. I like that I get to kick back a little bit. I like that somebody's picking up the slack, picking up my slack, you
Yep.
know, I like that the tables are turned this way. And then now it made me more receptive to people, and like my anxiety is not as crazy as it
Mm.
used to be when it comes to talking to people, or even like, getting on phone calls like this used to take a lot out of me at first. But now I'm kind of like, no, I'm excited. Let's get on the phone. What are we talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
what are and it just opens you up and makes you just a little bit less irritable when you're interdependent,
Yes.
because you're understanding that there's no real threats out there. Like, there are threats, of course. There are some people in the world that are not the greatest people,
Yeah.
but But when you operate in a space, but I feel like that's when you're operating in a super selfish space, because why are you attracting all of those kinds of people?
Yes.
You
Oh
know what
my
I
gosh.
mean?
Reflect
Like,
chaos on the
why are
outside
those
is
kind of
chaos
people
on the
coming to
inside.
you?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you feel like everybody in the world is this exact same person?
Yeah.
Because you're attracting these
Because you
people
are that in a way.
you
You clean something up. And so you're going to
who
get
re-
what you
yes,
give. You're
because
going to
they are
get.
reflective of exactly where you are, where
Yep.
your mind frame is at, where you think that you are.
Yep.
That they're just reflective. They're mirrors to you. So now that that I've completely opened up and I'm celebrating tribe and community and all these things, because I used to hop around a lot before. Like
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I know a lot of people. I never had like just like one circle of like, these are my three best friends. Like I never
Yeah.
had like this, like I had clusters.
Yes.
I'd be with like Alexis and everybody on
Mm-hmm.
that side. And then I'd jump over to this side and be with all these other friends. And then I'd jump into the net. And I was just jumping to all of these people over the years. And I'm happy that I did it, because I
Yeah.
know a lot of people, and not just in like an opportunist, like career
Your relationships
oriented
are
way.
everything, though.
It's like
Yeah.
relationships with,
Mm-hmm.
so when I finally did open up to interdependence, and I was like, wait, I know all of these folks. Now everything is kind of like pouring in abundance, because out
Yes.
of the 3 million people that I know, 1 million of them are just exactly where I'm at, or where I need them to be to make to lift myself up in whatever kind of way, and vice versa, of course. Like, okay, I actually don't feel drained pouring into you, because you're pouring back into me. I feel like there's just so many blessings in being interdependent that a lot of people just kind of just don't see them, because like you said, that line between that and codependency is so thin,
So
depending
thin.
on what the practices are. How do you see your spouse or your friend or whoever? Is that a crutch, or is that just a stepping stone for you, or is that what do you consider these bonds? But if you don't tap in with the people around you, and work vertically, or
Yes.
no, horizontally, to
Yes. To get
work
vertically. Yeah.
horizontally to, yes, exactly. If you don't work that way, then you're just gonna be stuck in that bubble that you created in your fucking independent world
Well
of misery.
said. Well
Of
said.
misery, honey.
I love it. You touched on all the points that I truly believe in and some of the perspectives that I
Yeah.
have. And, you gave insight. So I definitely appreciate you. I'm
Yes,
glad
ma'am.
that are interdependent. I'm happy and I just want that for all of us. And that,
Yeah.
that's the only way for us to get further and like shift things. It's if we can support and lean on each other and pull each other up when one is down
Yes.
and even when one is up, pull them up even further. So
Right.
that's valuable. So I was happy. I definitely had to get your voice on this for
Yes,
sure.
ma'am. So just one really last point. Really,
Yes.
a really quick last point. Um, the one of the biggest examples of interdependency is Twitter. It's so funny, because this
Yes.
is
Oh
this
my
is the
God.
whole entire world is in one place, right? But think about it. How much information have we all taken in? How much stuff have we all seen as one? And we know not everybody on Twitter agrees, but it's still a collective mind, because any trending topic, any whatever protest and celebs and whatever, we're all in this one place together, right? So we're
Mhm.
consuming all of this together, and now we're able to process whatever's going on together. So a lot of people don't feel so alone in the world, because they're like, damn, like 50 people thinking, or 1,000 people think
Yes.
exactly like me.
That's so true.
Right. And what does
That's so
that do
true.
for your psyche? And what does that do for your confidence when you see this one tweet that you resonate with the most go super viral and has 20,000 retweets? You're like, wow, 20,000 people in this world,
Mhm.
think exactly like me.
And the
Where are
sub
they?
community is definitely one of the
The sub
the most
communities.
pivotal social platforms that we have out there. hands
It's
down.
a remarkable platform.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because we can all feel the same thing at the same time. We can all think the same thing, and then we're like, okay, this collective consciousness is one of the
Yes.
biggest reasons why Black people are even coming up in the world right now. It's because we're out here spreading whatever information the rest of the world is trying to hide from us, and we're like, okay, you know what? I can go to this page, or I can go to, you have these resources and these places where you can go to find out whatever it is that you need to find out,
Mhm.
to help whatever cause you got, whatever you're trying to put into play. It's all in this one place. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's the power of interdependency, because it
Y
will really turn everything around and bring everybody together. But then but it still celebrates, and that's the beautiful thing about it, because you're still celebrating the fact that people have different mindset, like, different ideals on certain things, but the fact that we're all even having particular conversations all in one place is actually kind of nuts.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
It's
nuts.
nuts, but it's
It's so
super
appreciated.
impactful.
Yes.
Yes, but it's so appreciated and it's super impactful. But
What's
yeah.
one quick nugget you can leave off the listeners who, may be on the more independent side? Obviously, you gave so many examples and reasons, but what's one that you really want to resonate with them as far as why they should consider interdependency?
So for everyone on the independent side, all I'm gonna say is slash the ego and slash the pride, and understand that you're blocking the real blessings. You're blocking abundance. You're accomplishing things and it's all working out for you and it's beautiful, but who in the world can you share that with? Who can you're missing out on stories, like you're missing out on memories and experiences by closing yourself off to the world in the way that you are, because your accomplishments are beautiful, but what do they mean if they're not celebrated with other people? What do they mean if they're not put out into the world to inspire others? What do they mean if there aren't other people's ideologies or their creativity or their 2 cents? Even the 2 cents, those kind of things matter. So open yourself up and receive this abundance, and it's out in the world, it's out in humanity, it's still out there. Like, just don't lose hope.
Yes, perfect. Well said. Thank you, Fran, so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Enjoy
I
your
got you.
evening.
Bye, babe. Later.
Bye. You can hear this tomorrow.
Yes, I'm excited.
Okay.
Later.
Baby safe.
You too.